Hey guys, my name is Shani and welcome back to my space. I'm going to start off by saying that I've already filmed this. I am refilming this video because I went to go and edit the footage for the last video and found that the entire thing was blurry. So I decided to film it in a different spot. I did film it down in my lounge room on my couch, but I guess the lighting wasn't great. I don't know why it didn't focus. So we're here instead, and basically today I'm doing a Q&A, but it's a bit different to the Q&A I did last year. This one is about diabetes. This month of November is very special to me because it is my 12-year anniversary of living with type 1 diabetes. I've had diabetes since I was 10 years old, and this will be 12 years of living with it, and it's a really long time. I wanted to do a Q&A about it because I wanted to, I guess, clear up a few questions that people commonly have and hopefully help people understand a bit better, because I know growing up with diabetes and in my teenage years, there was a lot of people who didn't fully understand what it was, and it led to a lot of unnecessary comments and bullying and things like that. And I'm hoping by making this video it can make people with diabetes feel a bit less alone, and that it can help you if you know someone with diabetes, if someone is in your family with diabetes or a friend, like that you can know a bit more to support them, and I guess if the time comes, stand up for them. Okay, so that was my little ramble. Let's get into the questions. I asked my Twitch community to send me in questions that they have about diabetes. Today I'm going to be talking about type 1 diabetes, since that's my experience, that's what I live with. Type 2 I know a bit about, but I'm trying to talk about my experiences with things and going from there, because I'm not an expert. I just have lived with type 1 for a pretty long time. This question wasn't actually asked, but I'll get into it now just to start off the video. So what is type 1 diabetes? Type 1 diabetes is a bit different to type 2 diabetes, which is more based around insulin resistance, food, diet, exercise. I don't want to get too complicated with how I describe things because I don't want to confuse you. But basically, type 1 diabetes is where your body can't produce insulin anymore. Insulin is made by a gland in your body called the pancreas. It's made by the beta cells in your pancreas, and basically insulin lets you get energy from your food. It helps you digest your food, and that energy is used for when you're thinking, when you're walking, when you're running, when you're doing it, pretty much everything. You need that energy to do things. Basically, with diabetes, your immune system attacks the beta cells in your pancreas that make insulin, and you can't get insulin anymore because the cells can't produce it anymore. So basically, as a diabetic, you're not getting energy from your food, and that can lead to a lot of complications. That can make you very sick if it's left untreated, and that's why diabetics have to do needles every day or get injections or doses of insulin every day to survive, and that's why we have to check our blood sugars all the time, because if we don't do that, we can get really sick. Let's get into the questions. So Loser Rat has asked, are there any symptoms to be aware of that may be diabetes? Like if you have blank, it could be a symptom of diabetes. Common symptoms for type 1 diabetes include weight loss. So you're not getting energy from your food, so basically your body is sourcing that energy from other parts of your tissue, like fat cells. So you're burning fat for energy, and you can get a significant weight loss. You'll be really dehydrated, headaches, nauseous, sometimes vomiting, and a side effect of hyperglycemia, which is basically high blood sugars, is ketone acidosis. That can be caused by high blood sugars. So if you have ketone acidosis as well as undiagnosed diabetes, basically You can have like a metallic-y taste in your mouth. You can just feel really sick, struggling to keep down food, water, things like that. Yeah, that's pretty common symptoms of type 1 diabetes that's undiagnosed. If you feel anything like that, please go and see a doctor. I'm not a professional, that's just what I experienced when I got diabetes. I'm gonna do a video on my experience of getting diabetes and living with it, but yeah, those are very common symptoms of type 1 diabetes. So Lilac asked, what are the worst and maybe even best things about diabetes? So this one's a bit hard because, I'd have to say worst things of diabetes. For me personally, before I got diagnosed and when I got diagnosed, I had a massive fear of needles, which is not great when you're going into a condition that needs you to do needles every single day. It was not fun. So I think adjusting to the diabetic lifestyle of injections, finger pricks, things like that to manage your blood sugars, that can be really tricky to get into. I think just the mental aspect of it, because there's no cure for diabetes, so it's kind of just like living with it day to day can be rough, because there's days that you don't want to do needles, or you don't want to do all of the stuff that you have to do. So I think that's pretty challenging. But I'd say one of the best things about having diabetes is meeting other people with diabetes. Like when I was a kid, for example, I went to diabetes camps, and I got to meet all these other diabetics from my area, and we used to do like our injections before dinner together. We used to carb count together. We used to just talk and feel understood, because it can be really isolating having this condition and other people don't know what you're going through. But if you can connect with people in your community who have it, I think that's one of the best things, because it's just that level of understanding and friendship that can come from meeting others with this condition. Okay, so Slurp wants to know, are there different types of diabetic names? What I mean is, are there different stages of type 1 diabetes through to stage blank? So there are different types of diabetes. So most commonly there's type 1, which I have. Type 1 is usually in kids. So like I got diabetes when I was 10. Usually type 1 happens in kids, but you can get it in your teenage years as well. And it's not really sure, we're not really sure why it happens though. So basically, it could be a genetic thing, it could be another thing. We're not really sure why the immune system recognizes the beta cells as foreign and attacks them. That's what type 1 is. It mostly happens in kids, and it's fully insulin dependent. So you are on insulin injections all the time and regulating your blood sugars all the time. And yeah. Type 2 is more based around insulin resistance. So there's lots of things that can contribute to insulin resistance. It can be a genetic thing. It can be like passed down from your parents. It can be stress, a higher body mass composition, unhealthy diet, exercise is pretty low. All those things contribute to insulin resistance, and it can be, it's usually treated just with having a more balanced lifestyle, and weight loss usually helps lower insulin resistance and helps you be able to absorb more energy from your food. Type 2 diabetics don't normally have to do injections like as much as type 1. People who I know who have had type 2 maybe have to do like 1 injection, 2 injections a day, sort of a thing. Around that. Type 1, I was doing 6 injections a day. Type 2 is more around testing your blood sugars, and I know a lot of type 2 diabetics go on metformin as well, which is it helps increase your insulin sensitivity. It's like a tablet. But yeah, injections with type 2 diabetes isn't too common, if that makes sense. It's more on the severe end of type 2 diabetes where you're doing injections, where you're super insulin resistant and you actually need doses of insulin. So the cells aren't completely destroyed. It's just your body is not reacting as it should be when it's getting the insulin from your pancreas. I hope this makes sense. I hope this makes sense. The other common one is gestational diabetes, so that's pregnancy diabetes. So you can get diabetes when you're pregnant, but when you give birth, the diabetes stops. So it's more just, I guess, I don't know too much about it, but I think it's just insulin resistance while you're pregnant. I don't know a lot about that one, but I know that one's very common too. So there's more types of diabetes out there, but those three are pretty common. Confused Baguette asked, this might be insensitive, but is it hard to live with? Honestly, it's not fun. I will say it's not fun. Yeah. This one's a hard one. Type 1 diabetes is not fun to live with. As I said before, there's days where you don't want to do it anymore. You don't want to have to do the needles and all the stuff, and it can be very mentally challenging to live with. It can be rough. There's a lot of complications and things that can happen with diabetes. If you get sick from something else, it can be really amped up because of your diabetes. It's not fun. But it's manageable. It could be a lot worse. Yeah, that's probably the best answer I've got for that one. Betty has asked, are there any work/social allowances that you think should be implemented in more places that can help a person with type 1 diabetes manage it better and feel more at ease? For example, places to test blood sugar levels, food availability, etc. Okay, so, good question. The two main things that I would suggest if you have a diabetic in like your school or your workplace is education. If people have a general understanding of what they're doing, why they're treating themselves, why they might need more breaks than normal, things like that. If people have a general understanding, it can make a diabetic feel a lot safer in that environment to take care of themselves. There's a lot of diabetics who don't feel like they can take care of themselves at work, and a lot of them are scared to tell people that they're diabetic. So I think having a good amount of education is really, really important. The second thing I would say is food accessibility, 100%, because I know, for example, with me, a lot of people are like, oh, why didn't you have hypo food with you? Hypos are low blood sugars, by the way. So you have to eat to treat them. So a lot of people have gone like, oh, why don't you have like hypo food with you? And it could be because I've had a day or a couple days where I'm just having hypo after hypo after hypo. Like I'm just consistently having low blood sugars and I'm just going through that food. I think having options there that you can get food containing sugar that's fast acting is going to be really, really helpful to diabetics if they're having a rough patch with their diabetes, or they might be having more low blood sugars than normal, and they might need more accessibility to food in case they run out. I think that's really important too. More education and food accessibility are probably my main ones with that question. And Betty also asked, any other ways to make spaces more accessible to people with type 1? Good question. I'd probably say just having a safe space for us to treat ourselves. If the school or the workplace or whatever the environment doesn't want that, if they want that to be more behind closed doors sort of a thing, having a safe space to do that, I think that would help a lot with letting us treat ourselves and feeling more safe to do so in that environment. Like doing injections in like the bathrooms and stuff, it can be really like more difficult because you don't really have anywhere to like put your kit, sit things down. It can be a bit unhygienic. So bathrooms aren't really ideal. So I don't know if that fully counts as a space that I would consider great to take care of ourselves in. So maybe like a break room, something like that. Just a space that we can feel safe in, I'd say. Yeah, those are my questions by the looks of it. I don't think I have any more. No, I think we're good. I'm going to be doing a video next week that I'm really nervous and really excited about. So I'm very excited for you guys to see that one. It's about my life with diabetes and more about the charity stream that we have coming up soon. So keep an eye out for that. I'm really excited about it. Also, let me know in the comments, do you want me to do more diabetic related videos? Like, I don't know if there's any diabetics watching right now, but I'd love to do like my perspective and my reviews on like certain products, certain experiences, things like that. It'll be fun. So yeah, let me know in the comments. That's it for me for this video. If you liked this content, make sure you give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!